I don't care what you look like or what you think. I don't care what you do or where you're from. All I care about is that gift hidden inside you. And all I want to do is help it come alive. Because where we're going, we're going to need a lot of heroes. For the record, 10,000 Heroes is brought to you by Momentum Lab. The point of Momentum Lab is to turn idealists into impactors by aligning your dreams and aspirations with success in every area of your life today. Momentum Lab is like a playground for your highest self. We take your dreams seriously and help you remove any blocks to realizing them. We do this through courses, virtual events, in-person events, and our signature year-long accelerator. To join our world, engage in dialogue, meet up in person, and just blow your mind, sign up at momentumlab.com. Okay, so I really appreciate you being available, and I'm just going to give a little bit of background as to the project I'm engaged in, and why I think you could be helpful for me. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show 10,000 Heroes. I'm your host, Ankur Shah-Delight, and this episode is a continuation of the theme, the little series we're doing on anger, which came out of a desire to integrate different perspectives, different worldviews from my talks with Jeff, and an identification that I might have some work I could do in terms of integrating anger and getting what's really positive out of that emotion and maybe that whole worldview as a whole. So as part of this, I'm doing some jujitsu, learning what that is. Talked to John Giuliano about his experiences in the war in El Salvador. I'm just kind of casting a few different nets. And I ran across this video that my guest here, Dr. Manuel Manotas, had posted about somatic experiencing, like really paying attention to the feelings in our body and specifically around anger. And I was intrigued, and so I got him very generously on the show. And so my assignment in this episode is to see if Manuel can help me understanding better what a healthy relationship or a healthy evocation of anger is that avoids being toxic and hurtful, and avoids being suppressed and maybe not taking advantage of its potential and its power. And he's amazing. He does exactly that. And so thank you, Manuel. This is a really, really short notice and just really came through. A really important part of my my investigation here. So I want to just make sure to express that gratitude to you. And let's roll.
Great.
So on the podcast, I've had I have two streams. One is interviews with people who are really living their purpose, and they're meant to be demonstrative and inspiring. And then I have this other type of interview that's more of a solo cast or a little dialogue with someone about something I'm working on. So often it's been around building community, but recently I've been having these talks with Jeff Salzman, who's an expert in integral philosophy, about how to integrate different perspectives, different ideologies, different worldviews into my life so I can benefit from them. And one of the things that we identified in our conversations is that there's this level of like relating to the world as this kind of warrior mindset that I don't relate to at all. And I just immediately associate it with toxic masculinity. And I don't want to have anything to do with it. And so as part of that, he suggested that I start an inquiry into anger and how can anger be more useful to me. And I don't think I'm suppressing it, but I might be. But I think mainly I see anger as giving me a little bit of information. In the conscious leadership group, which I love, they say anger means that a boundary has been crossed. And so I use that, but I don't think I'm like really benefiting from what anger could potentially offer me. I'm not really indulging in it. I'm not really using it. And so I just want to bring that to you. I have a specific example in mind that may or may not be helpful. I'll leave it up to you as whether we get into that. But like, what could I do to be more in touch with anger in a way that's positive for me and positive for the people around me?
How do you relate to it when it comes up, when it does come up? How what occurs in that moment?
Often it's swearing.
Swearing. Okay.
Yeah, like I want to swear. Sometimes I do. If I'm by myself, I'm very comfortable just like swearing out loud. If I'm in a public space, I'm less comfortable.
And what's the so the swearing is sort of like the behavior that comes as a result of the energy. What is the energy like when you feel it? What does it feel like inside yourself?
I'm not sure. But the first thing that comes to mind is discomfort.
Discomfort. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
there's like movement.
Yes, yes, movement. Okay. Yeah. That's the angle that I come. So let me give you a little like the angle that I come at it is from that more energetic kind of somatic. So it's like, all right, something happens that triggers me, that triggers the anger, and then immediately there is a physiological reaction in the body. There is energy. There might be some tightening. There's some energy that's happening at the somatic level. That is a place to investigate. That is a place that you can play with and kind of like really feel into it. When the anger comes up, what is actually happening in the body? What is the sensation that is occurring? It gets hot. It usually gets hot. There might be a color to it. And that's one way to start exploring the energy and relating to the energy of it.
This is reminding me of my work with Vipassana meditation, where
Uh-huh.
it's really about
Uh-huh.
kind of more finely tuning the antenna to
Yes.
understand what's going on with the sensations at a more subtle
Right. Right,
level.
right, 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 right. Yes, yes, yes. You mentioned the example. I'm curious. You
Okay.
want to see the
Yeah.
example? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was dropping a friend off at the airport last
Yes.
week.
Yes.
And you know that in a typical airport, there's like all these cars that are
Yeah.
dropping someone off or picking someone up and then leaving. So I was in
Yes.
that process. I dropped him off. I was back in the car. Maybe I
Yes.
was like calling someone or pairing the phone with the car. And
Yes.
this woman
Mhm.
knocked on I don't know if she knocked on the window, but she was like
Yes.
kind of yelling through the
Yes.
window,
Yes.
"Can you move, please?"
Yes.
And
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
and I immediately like the first thought in my mind was like, "Fuck you." Just for talking to me in that way. You know, it was just like there's no I'm just like I'm used to someone saying hello, you know, just like but just like a total lack of presence or politeness or she had her whole attitude that she was like foisting upon me and I got it. You know, I got the like impatience. And so I had that response internally. And then I rolled down the window so she could say it again. And she said exactly the same. Can you move, please? And then I was like, yeah, I can move. And I slowed it down and I made it really calm. And I made it really. I was really consciously not moving. You know, I was in no hurry to move. And I said, yeah, I can move, but I wasn't. I wasn't going to move. You know, I was like less likely to move at that point. And so that was how I dealt with it a little bit through humor. Like it was funny for me. I don't think it was funny for her. But then I'm wondering, like, would it have been better for me to roll down the window and just be like, "Fuck you," or would it have been, like, what's the right response?
Are you willing to do a little role play here with this?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
All right, cool, cool. So bring yourself back. Bring yourself back to the situation. You're in your car. You're driving. You're there. The woman comes in, and then she's like, "Can you move, please?" What is happening right now? What do you feel in your body? What is the immediate thing that comes immediately to your body right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of movement in my chest, like little
Yes,
tingling. And
yes,
then my arms are like maybe they're like on the steering wheel or something, and there's like some
yeah,
tension in the arms
yeah.
and in the
Let
hands.
yourself feel that. Like really go into the energy of that. Feel that tension. Feel the and forget about niceties or any positive like societal kind of responses that you're supposed to say. Just what wants to come from your center right now in this moment as you roll down the window and the woman says it again. What wants to be said to her? Forget.
Where do you get off talking to me like that?
Yes.
Like why do you even think that that's a reasonable possibility to talk to me like that.
All right, good. How do you feel right now after you said that? What's happening in your body right now?
I feel energized. I feel like like um like I'm headed towards a fight,
Okay.
and it
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
kind of good.
Okay. All right, good. Can you let yourself enjoy the good feeling?
Yeah, yeah.
Really, yeah, feel the energize and feel the energy that's coming up and really feel it and see what happens as you do that.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
it's like what is your problem?
yes,
Like
yes, yes,
what
yes.
is your problem? And I just want you to know you
Yeah.
cannot talk to me like that.
Okay. Good. And how do you feel inside when you say that?
I feel powerful.
Okay, good. Let yourself feel that.
Yeah, and there's like tingling all over my kind of upper
Nice.
chest,
Nice.
arm world.
Nice. Nice. Is there any color that you see around the anger right now, or the energy, or the tingling, the
Ah,
power itself?
no.
No, that's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then what happens?
No, it's really hard for me to get away from like the person I want to be, then immediately
Yeah.
goes to like curiosity
Yes.
and is like, oh, like what happened in your day that this is what you're feeling right now. But I don't know.
So,
I don't know if I'm supposed to think that.
well, maybe that's another kind of side that comes up. But one thing that I noticed is when you said like, "Who do you think you are?" You're not like whenever you there was a very strong boundary that came, and that's when you felt like, "Oh, I feel like I want to run a fight. I feel energized," and it felt good. Like it
Yeah.
actually felt good. Yeah. And then other parts come in and like kind of like I you know you want to understand that, which is kind of from what I'm hearing is kind of who you are. You want to understand where it's coming from, what was going on for her, like and that curiosity about that. But that doesn't have to deny the initial kind of like fire and boundary that came. It was a boundary, basically. It was a strong boundary that came there. Like, no, that's unacceptable. You're not allowed to talk to me like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's I guess it's a more direct or naked way of doing what I did. Like what I did in my own like I don't know what the word is, veiled way
Yes, yes,
is
yes.
I almost just said I tried to make it clear, but I don't think I made it clear at all. I made it unclear that her request in that way, her demand, was actually counter effectual, and it was actually slowing me down. And so I think it would be nice to say that clearly. Just that, like, how much like I'm actually way less likely to move now, and that's part of that boundary. Or maybe a nice thing to would just be like just to roll down the window and be like, try again because
Yeah,
that didn't work.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, how was your, or how is your, or was, or your relationship to anger growing up? How was anger handled in your house by,
So I grew up with my mom. My parents divorced when I was one and a half or something. I spent most of my time with my mom, uh, and then she remarried when I was 10 or something. So then I had a stepdad,
yeah,
and there's no physical demonstration of anger that I can remember. I think my mom is it's like the tone of her voice would change and get very I don't know, sharp is the right word, like kind of tight and sharp when she was angry, and there would be like insults kind of thing. Um,
how would you feel when that happened?
oh, really bad. Because she had two insults. Um, one is in Gujarati, and it's like, am I your father's servant, or do I work for your father,
Yes.
or something like that? which would be the translation, that it made me feel really bad. And then the other one was like, you're behaving like your father. And that maybe that was the
Okay.
worst.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was like
yeah.
the
Uh,
ultimate insult. And I was like, oh dude, I
yes,
just totally did something wrong, you know?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So it was effective. Her anger, I think, was really effective.
Effective. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Nice. Wow.
That's that's what's coming to mind immediately. And there might be more. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and how about you when you got angry when you were growing up?
Um, I having a memory of being angry in high school
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and feeling really impotent in this particular example, just like being really angry at
Uh-huh.
something somebody said
Yes.
and what they thought, but knowing I had no power to change that and being really, I guess, frustrated that like I couldn't change this thing I wanted to change. So I guess I associate it with powerlessness.
Powerlessness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is the opposite of what you felt when you when
Yeah,
in the exercise, which was yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But if
totally.
you feel, but if you're, if you're in a situation of a very strong power differential, you're a young kid, and then you can't do something to change. You're gonna kind of shut that anger inside. You're gonna
Mm.
like clamp it down because it's what do you do with that energy? It's too much energy, and you cannot discharge it. So it's just like. Ah. And that's kind of like the thing. What I see people tend to work with anger in two ways. It's either discharge, which is like acting it out and kind of like letting the energy blah and attack and do that's where you were talking about the toxic masculinity type thing. Like it's like or shut it down and repress it and it's okay. There's no problem. Like it's a very powerful force energy. The anger is a very it's like red and volcanic and like so it's like there's something to be said about building that capacity for presence to really like hold energy and then it mobilizes. That energy is mobilizing, is great for moving forward, for action, for putting boundaries. uh, um, at least that's one way of seeing it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. And so what's the I mean, you do this for a living, right? This is part of your work.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what's the kind of, if you were to lay out like a treatment plan or something for me, what would I what should I do?
I would play around with when the energy of anger comes. Get curious about it, kind of like what you said, but not just at the intellectual level, at the somatic level. What does the energy feel like? And also go hunting for like go hunting for where and when am I shutting it down or the opposite, when am I discharging it, right? Like observe that, kind of like really be aware of when I'm doing one or the other. uh, uh, um, and as you investigate that and you get more comfortable with the energy, who knows what opens up there? Things can get juicy there. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
awesome. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do some homework. And then
Yeah.
maybe if it's okay with you, I'll check back in with you in a month or two.
Sounds good. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say you had another example in the thing, or was that it?
That's what I had come with.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So one of the things that you said, another thing is like you said, I don't think I I repress it, right? Or something like that. You don't believe that you repress the anger, right? Um, Now, in the example of the car ride, like if you feel when the woman said to you, "Move, would you please move?" I felt it when you said that. I felt angry. I was already like "Fuck you." Who the? fuck. Yeah, yeah, I can feel the aggression coming my way. I can feel that, and then I immediately want to go out and attack. Obviously, I'm not gonna do that. Obviously, I would, but um, which is funny for me personally. What happens is I get that initial, and then this danger alarm comes in, and then I shut it down. That's kind of my pattern. I want
Okay,
to
so your
feel.
instinct is to, I forget the word you use, but to discharge. Yeah, discharge. Your instinct is to discharge it, but then you have like
But,
some other
but there's an
control
immediate
mechanism.
alarm that comes and clamps
Okay.
it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 and shuts it down because it's dangerous because it wasn't safe when I was growing up and all of that. So the key in that for me in that instance is as I feel that is like, can I stay present enough to not shut it down, but also to not go after the lady and just like breathe and feel the kind of like the energy that's there. Um,
Okay, so this is important to me. So in that moment, I'm imagining you in the car now. In my mind, I thought the right response, I'm using the air quotes here, the right response involves something I say to the lady
yes,
that is not discharge and is not
yes.
suppression. But what I heard from you right now is you're just processing it, forgetting that she exists.
Exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. At least right now we're talking. I mean, put me in the situation, and I have no idea about. But at least as we're processing it right now, yes. Like, forget about the right response. Like, I would let go of the right response and see what is actually happening in your physiology. What is the immediate reaction that is actually occurring? And when you were telling me this was my sense. It's like, oh yeah, there's definitely anger there, and I did suspect that there was also a little bit of like a using a Freudian term would be what's I'm blanking on the not I forgot the word when people totally forgot the word, but the point is that there's a sublimation. It almost feels like you were sublimating the anger, meaning um, you feel the energy coming your way, and then instead of saying something like what you said when we did the exercise, which was "do not talk to me that way," you said you didn't respond. You kind of like stayed there so that almost like so that she would feel the frustration because you weren't moving because you were slowing it down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So something like that. So forgetting about the right response, your immediate reaction was to wanting to tell her, "Back off, lady." Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Is that wrong? Is there a part of you that believes that that's wrong?
Uh, no, no. I think there's a part of if my immediate response was "fuck you," I think there's a part of me that thinks that that's wrong. Because I have this. I want to contribute. Like my whole thing. I want to contribute positively to the lives of everyone around me.
Right.
Telling someone to back off, I don't think that's negative.
Yes. 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 Okay. Yeah, I understand. Like the "fuck you" is more. It's like now you're going. You're insulting. You're aggressing. That's a little
Yeah,
bit. But
yeah,
like, hey, that's unacceptable. Do not talk to me that way. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And part of what this is helping me let go of is
Yeah.
I think normally I would want to be in this role of helping her
Yes.
clarify what's alive for her in that moment.
Right.
But I don't need to do that. As long as I'm not being negative, I don't have to be like a super net positive on her. I can just have my own experience
Yes. Right. Right. Right.
and setting the boundary like that, like you can't talk to me like that
Right. Right.
fits in that for me where I'm not helping her. Maybe it'd
Yeah.
be great if I were, but I'm okay with not helping
You,
her.
you might be helping her by putting the boundary in that way.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
never know how
Right.
that's like. Whoa, like she's like like
Yeah,
calling.
if that's a pattern for her, then
Yeah,
it might be
exactly.
helpful for
And she
her
can
to
say,
hear that.
"Whoa." Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, we don't know that, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. And then so I guess I'm just curious. Maybe we could go into this now, or we could do
Yeah,
it some other time later.
yeah, yeah.
How did you get all? Why are you so focused on this? Like, how did this become such a big part of your life?
Um, well, I'm not necessarily only like anger. To me, I'm very focused on being able to experience all that I feel in the most on like repressed way possible, but also without like so the same. Just as I have that attitude towards anger, I have it towards sadness, towards any energy or feeling that comes in myself. I really want to feel it fully, and turn every rock experientially of what is occurring. Uh, um, the way I see emotions are like signals our bodies, our nervous system are giving us about the world, how to navigate the world. So when we have a certain we all have biases towards all emotions depending on our upbringing and our conditioning, right? Like for me, for example, sadness is a hard one to let myself feel. Like there's the grief is a hard one to let myself feel. Like sometimes I've worked with that a lot, but like there was a way in which I would think that I was going to get drowned by it. So obviously the attitude towards that one is a much softer one, and gentle breath, and like really softening and allowing the heart to do express what it needs to express. Versus for anger, it requires a little bit more, um, a little bit of a little bit more um, the energy of anger is such a expansive energy, so it requires me to kind of like step up to the energy of anger. Whereas with sadness, it requires me more to soften and allow. Um, I'm just giving those two examples, but I think there's something very um, precious and important about letting myself fully experience emotions as they show up. And by fully experiencing doesn't mean acting them out, or it's not so much about what I do with them, but how I experience them inside myself. Something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um,
Great. I really appreciate this.
thank you.
And I think it's an area that I could really grow more. Like I'm definitely so as part of this project, I started taking jujitsu, and so there's a lot in there, of course. But for me, even just the basic things of move your right leg, focus on this, touch this other person's body, push your chest against their, all of this body stuff is it's a little foreign for me.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's all a little bit like new. Yeah, so like touching other people's bodies and that, I always played like racket sports where I was just far away from the other person,
yes.
the person I don't know. But then it goes down to sensation as well. It's all connected.
That sensation is so important to really experience through an embodied sense the energy of whatever we're feeling. What's behind? What's the energy of it? It's so important.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it has to be. It has to be.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Manuel.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Cool. I'm glad. I'm glad I was able to share my my experience.
Okay, so I'm going to insert a little twist into this story. I did that thing with Manuel, and then a couple days later, I was on a cocktail hour call, and there were, I think, I don't know, 8 or 9 people in the call, and we were talking about this topic, and I presented the same scenario, and I asked everyone to give what their reaction would be in the same scenario. And they agreed. I think it's just it's a fun thing to have this diversity of reactions, and maybe your reaction is amongst them, and maybe it's not, and maybe you should share it with me. So just check this out. This is another little segment from a cocktail hour that has a bunch of different people's reaction to the same prompt. Okay, so the scenario is it's just this thing that happened to me the other day, and I was trying to figure out what is the proper response because I didn't want to be passive. I wanted to be in tune with my anger, but in a way that was like not like horrible. So I was dropping a friend off at the airport, and you're in that like little temporary, you drop the person off and then you keep going and other people fill. And I was getting back in the car and like getting my stuff set up, maybe getting the phone like repaired with the car or something. And this woman comes like outside the window and is like, "Can you please move?" And I rolled down the window and she said it again. She's like, "Can you move, please?" And I was really like, I was like super pissed off. I felt seriously aggressed, and I was pissed off. And I was like, "Oh yeah." I was super calm. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can move." And I just made no effort to move or do anything. So I was just like, kind of like fucking with her in this subtle way. But as I drove away, I felt like, ah, oh, man, I should have been more direct. I should have been more confrontational. So I'm just curious, and I'm gonna go in order of what's on my screen. Um, so without commentary, without theory, I would just love for you to be in character and say what I should have said. Brent.
I don't like the way you're talking to me.
Yeah. Lena.
Honestly, my initial response is to just be like, fuck you.
Yeah. Joanna.
I probably just would have like said, sure, kind of like passively.
Mm-hmm. Alexis?
I think that I would have probably rolled my eyes a little bit and been like, yep, on it. Getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Be gone in just a moment.
Tracy?
Well, I probably wouldn't have said this, but I think you should have said, I will move as soon as I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Marnie?
I will get to it when I get to it. Thanks for being patient. Of course, David. I would have been shaking.
Oh, say again?
I would have been shaking because I would have been mad.
Yeah. David?
Momentarily.
Hi everyone, this is Martin San, producer, editor, and sound designer for the 10,000 Heroes show. I just wanted to take a minute to thank our guest for joining us, and also thank you for listening. 10,000 Heroes is brought to you by Momentum Lab. This is the team. Pierre does our artwork, DJ Plainview composed our theme music, and I handle all the editing and sound design. And now, we are closing down this episode with a word from our main sponsor, who also happens to be our host, Anchor.
Hey everybody, thanks again for listening. If you like this episode, there's 2 things I want you to do. 1, introduce me to the most inspiring person you know so I can have them on the show. And 2, take the next step towards us hanging out in person. Maybe that's signing up for the newsletter. Maybe that's attending an upcoming in-person or virtual event. What I'm trying to do here is destroy the basic one-to-many nature of this medium, podcast, entertainment, and replace it with something that actually builds connections between people. The beloved community, getting closer together, understanding each other, one conversation at a time. So, join me. Bye!